Hi everyone, thank you for bearing with us as we get settled. I have a friend who's a singer and she told me, put the microphone super close to your mouth, so I'm doing it.
Like you're eating it.
Exactly.
Hey everyone, thanks so much to Brand Innovators. Are we excited to be in Austin and be together? I mean, really. I know it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and some of you were out late last night, so whether you got to get your coffee or not an espresso martini, the bartenders, no, stick with like a Jefferson Wells like Sarah and Peter, or neat like Sarah and Peter were talking about, but grab your drinks, come on in, we're excited to talk today. I'm Lindsay Danek with Integral Ad Science, or IAS. We are the global leader in media quality, and we help brands like State Farm make sure that their digital ads are seen by real people in brand-safe environments. But I'm so excited to be here with Alyson Griffin from State Farm, and we're going to be talking today about context and relevancy. Now, I know that contextual alignment isn't necessarily a new concept, but at the same time, in this ever-changing digital world we live in, what are some new ways that we can really create consumer connections and drive relevancy using context? So, I will say that Alyson and the State Farm team has been doing just some incredible things, revolutionizing how we think about this and really pushing the limits in terms of innovating, even with a 100-year-old brand. So excited to talk to you. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much. So I'm leading the marketing department at State Farm. I feel very blessed and fortunate to work in such a wonderful brand. I am fairly new to the company though, and have spent 27 years in the technology space on Intel and Hewlett Packard. So super interesting for me from a career perspective to think about marketing in that innovation, fast-paced, technology, change, go, fail, do something else, hurry up, competitors everywhere, crazy. And then to come into a completely different category that is looking forward to the next 100 years. So for me, super exciting to be able to walk into a team that has done an amazing job with its awareness. I'm pretty sure everybody knows State Farm like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. And Jake from State Farm, we can talk about him a little bit later. He usually comes up in the Q&A section. It's funny, he was here in Austin actually this week, and would have been fun if we brought him up on stage. I think he's left already though. We had him working hard this week. But from our perspective, we're super excited about pushing the boundaries and using the platforms that we've been in, live sports, for example, where we went deep, and thinking about all the assets that we have at our disposal as a brand and making meaningful connections with customers or potential customers. So I think we'll probably get into some of that, but that's sort of what we're thinking about at State Farm right now.
Absolutely, and I think, just going to the topic here too, what does contextual relevancy mean to you from a brand perspective?
So we are looking at that in a couple of ways. So contextual relevance at the surface level, and something that the State Farm team has been doing for a really long time, is when you think about live sports. Our brand is synonymous. I mean, you can't watch a live sporting event, baseball, basketball, football, without seeing State Farm branding in stadiums. We have 2 stadiums. As well as the commercials that we do. But from a contextual perspective, the team learned early on that by using spokespeople relevant to the sport you're in and showing those commercials contextually relevant in the season, was helping our brand memorability, our relevancy, and overall, obviously, helping us get better use of the assets and the media buy that we were having. So we're really, really thinking about when we're in gaming, working with gamers, when we're in football, working with quarterbacks, etc. And we will continue to think that way in the few spots, the passion plays, we call it, the passion points of our customers, when we're making big investments in those ways. The other thing a different side of contextual is serving up content that is contextually relevant to the person in their search online. So if you're searching for, you're on Pinterest and you're looking about building new baby room, like you're sort of building boards around a baby room, it's like, oh, I wonder if that's a life trigger for life insurance type conversation, for example, things like that. So creating little bits of content around the web that pop up relevant in a way that matches what the person is doing. Those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about. A lot of brands are, but that's a little bit new for us. And that's something that is kind of our next horizon. So and then the third and final contextual piece I'll say, and then we can dig in or move on, is Jake from State Farm himself. And in our general market work, so we've got NBA and NFL, but we have general market, and Jake is by himself in those, not with a quarterback or a basketball player, for example. And creating, helping him be relevant and delivering a message around the key insights. Currently, it's surprisingly great rates that fit my budget. So overcoming the question of, can I really afford State Farm? And the line of not giving up what you love. The idea that you don't have to give up what you love in order to in order to have wonderful insurance and great coverage that's right for you. I didn't mean that to be a commercial here. I just meant that really trying to be relevant to the people that we're talking to and overcoming those objections or what they think might be an objection.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I mean, I was going to ask you how context fits into the strategy, but that's exactly it, right?
Yeah.
And really, let's go back to thinking about, you mentioned gaming.
And I'm just wondering a little bit more if you can tell us about how you're thinking about meeting consumers in the mindset and in the right mindset using different platforms.
So gaming is an interesting one. We, any marketer is looking at capturing current demand and generating future demand. We're all doing that. And what we want to do is get those younger, under 40 customers and even younger, let's say under 30, and start getting in their mindset. I have 2 college-aged boys, and I like to say, they're not off the payroll yet, but soon. When they are, I would like them to already have known State Farm, and when they have to make an insurance decision for themselves, for example, I want those younger folks to already have a good association and know who we are and know that we're an option for them. And so we're trying to now show up in gaming, for example, which is your question. And we're thinking about Jake from State Farm. He resonates really well with men, women, old, young. I don't know. That asset works very well for us, and we're making it work very hard. But from a gaming perspective, he was, and this is from an insurance company, the first non-playable character in a game, NBA 2K. And that it wasn't just that a gaming brand did that, an insurance brand did that. So unexpected, but because we have an interesting asset that's slightly human, but also brand spokesperson, and thinking very creatively and pushing the boundaries of, let's show up in that game. My team was just telling me, that we sell merch, not State Farm sells merch. It's whatever the coins in the game or whatever. We're not making money selling merch in a video game, but people are buying khakis and a red shirt and wearing it around NBA 2K because they interacted with Jake in the game and then went into the neighborhood goods store and bought an outfit. I'm thinking to myself, what? Wow. So, testing and learning and getting our asset in there, being in a game and making a connection and making sure our brand sort of proliferates in the game was something that the team was going for, and it seems to be working.
I have to say it is working, because when I told my kids at the dinner table that I was coming and I'm going to be talking to Alyson from State Farm, my 10-year-old son, who like doesn't watch TV except for sports, but he said to me, he's like, "Oh, Jake from State Farm, I love Jake. He's awesome. He's my favorite new thing in NBA 2K." And I was like, "What? Really?" Yeah. But then this is even funnier. My 7-year-old little boy said, "Oh, I like Patrick Mahomes in his sneakers." And I was like, for these two to have the brand resonate and for them to be able to actually switch from one campaign to the next and what's like working for them is pretty fascinating and definitely shows the deep roots of the brand and how you're resonating in the market.
I have to say that the team, they had a brief for Super Bowl for 2021, and the brief to the agency was make Jake famous. And the Drake from State Farm Super Bowl ad, we believe, was a very big step toward that. That then, you know, we're like, we've never been in a Super Bowl ad before. And we thought, if we can use that platform and the eyeballs for the Super Bowl and make Jake famous, and we take that investment as an insurance brand, then that asset will work 10 times harder for us the next 25 times we use it. And that's how we're seeing it play out. So it was the foresight of make a big splash, put the money and the effort and the energy behind it, and let's see if this can really work dividends, and it has.
Well, and that's interesting too, because, you know, going from an old campaign, you know, and what your strategy is for transitioning to the new, it's fascinating to hear that. And I'd love to hear
Jake,
more.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we started out, you know, Jake from State Farm, the original character, is still a real employee at our company. So when, you know, what are you wearing? Midnight call. That was a real State Farm employee that we used. And so when we realized that we had some equity built up with Jake from State Farm and that we wanted to lean into it and use it more, we realized, well, the guy, he's a great guy and he's lovely, awesome, but he's not an actor. And where we wanted to stretch and move and pull and change and the range we thought of needing in the future required an actor. And so that was the impetus to then say, okay, how do we evolve from the original, which was and is still seen on YouTube, has, I don't even know how many views, people like it, but then to create this new embodiment of our brand. And it's that neighborness. And it was really important to us. It wasn't about the physical look of the actor. It was about, who are we? And is there a personality that can be a living, breathing representation of what we stand for? And that's what we decided to create with this now current Jake from State Farm.
Well, I have to throw this out here. This wasn't a question, but I heard it when Patty was talking on her panel earlier today. But there was just some viral situation that happened with Jake like last night.
No, it wasn't last night. So the All-Star weekend, Jake walked in. We helped him a little bit with that. He was dressed in a fabulous, as the NBA players all are, very fashion-forward crew, and he had this fabulous jacket on and was sitting courtside at the All-Star game. But totally separate from that, like on his own, Kevin, the actor, walking by, a guy, just a person who had, how many followers did the person originally have? 300 followers, and he had a TikTok, and he's like, "Hey, it's Jake from State Farm," and Jake walks by and says, "Like a good neighbor," and the guy doesn't say anything, and Jake says, "Say it," and the guy says, "State Farm is there," and that clip of that TikTok it's now 8 million views, 9 million views. The guy had 300 followers and he's got, I don't even know how many now. And it was from that one clip. So I guess the asset is doing something right.
I would say so. I want to talk a little bit though, just like, as you mentioned, TikTok.
Yes.
And thinking about evolving platforms, whether it be CTV or social, how does that fit into your strategy?
So we did not do a Super Bowl ad this year, despite the fact that it was extremely beneficial to us in 2021. And instead, we decided that we wanted to have an engagement period through the playoffs to the Super Bowl, because at the time we had both of our quarterbacks who could have maybe both made it. Anyway, and so Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes were both doing very well going into the playoffs. And so we thought, hey, let's engage fans. Let's do something more than just a one-day Super Bowl commercial moment. And the team thought about TikTok as well. So, and we hadn't played on TikTok. And what we did was we created a Jake from State Farm TikTok account. He had some small amount of followers. And then we did a TikTok challenge from Jake, and somebody could win a spot in our commercial or NFL spots the next year. And somebody has now won that duet challenge. And so we were like, get the young folks. How do we get on TikTok? Don't want to do a Super Bowl ad this year. Want to have a longer period of engagement. And all of those factors then culminated in this duet and this contest. And Jake now, we haven't spent one penny on media on TikTok, not one penny. And he's got over 300,000 followers in just like 2 months and growing almost every day.
That's great. And just so you know, there are brand safe options on TikTok. Little plug there.
Right, and that's a big one for us.
But I do think it's interesting too to just take it back to context and innovation with context. Can you talk to us a little bit about Football Fund, because this is such an interesting initiative?
So you can take the girl out of Silicon Valley, but you can't take the Silicon Valley native out of the girl. And I was looking at innovative campaigns, did a whole bunch of them at HP and Intel, of course. And when I got into State Farm, there's this one idea that I had, and I'm like, when am I dropping that one on them? Gotta wait for the exact right moment. And we had a November football game where Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, our two spokespeople, quarterbacks, played each other. And it's very rare. It does not happen in a regular season. And we wanted to activate and do something interesting. So what we did was a national augmented reality campaign where for 4 days, anyone could use like a augmented reality footballs. You could open up the camera on your phone right here in this room, for example, and footballs would be flying around and you could interact with them to win prizes. Among the prizes, we were giving away NFTs. And at the time, we were super forward thinking in giving away NFTs. We weren't taking any money for them either, which I think is probably one of the few brands who didn't do that. And we just wanted to do something different, interesting, that was more tech industry-like instead of insurance industry-like. And we were really doing it to drive opt-ins, actually. So we've been talking about it a lot, and getting first-party data and getting through the cookie-less future. And so, it's true that people will opt in if there's something of inherent value to them. And good, bad, right, wrong, winning an NFT and some of the other prizes that we had were valuable enough for them to give us their permission to market to them. So that was a test for us. And it turned out to be, really, really great, went viral. And not only activating on site there at the game, but also having this national ability for anyone to have an augmented reality experience with our brand.
Fascinating, right? I mean, for so long, and I heard someone say, we finally know how to use the QR code after the pandemic, but really, people are just engaging in different ways, and digital has just kind of accelerated so much of that. Going back to what Patty said in an earlier panel today, she talked about how, during the pandemic when everything slowed down, marketing was accelerated. And I think we all felt that, and we're all really tired from it, but we're still going, right? But when you think about that, and I know we've talked a little bit about intestinal fortitude and what that means to you and how that translates to taking risks, how that can make an impact, and what you learn from it. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that comes from, for me, you have to have the intestinal fortitude, I say this all the time, to make bold, hard, tough decisions. Of course, reasonable risk. You can't do ridiculous things with your company's money or your company's brand. But if you're not pushing and trying, you can't ever get better. You can't ever get out of the rut that you're in. And me, that's, coming from outside the insurance category, from tech, and that constant pace and change and trying new things and do this and try that. And oh my gosh, it's okay if it didn't work really well, we'll do the next one. That kind of intestinal fortitude is really important. In our category, let's be frank, nobody cares about insurance. Nobody thinks about it. Nobody wants to think about it. And so for us, we really got to break through from a relevance perspective and create a connection with people in this country on a topic that is a really tough topic. Auto insurance is one thing. Everybody who drives a car in this country has to have it. But we sell a lot of other insurance, life insurance, homeowners, renters, small business, recreational vehicles, right? All that stuff. And people just are not going around every day going, you know what? Today I'm going to go think about insurance. And so if we're not in the right spots, breaking through with interesting ideas and coming up and showing up in unexpected ways, then really no one's going to think about it, like, ever. And we also have to think about our almost 20,000 agents they're independent contractors. They are not, State Farm employees. They are all independent small businesses. They do not have to do anything that we at the mothership tell them to do, right? And I say that to say, if you're not creating and pushing the boundaries, some really interesting messages and ideas that they can then capture and use when they're trying to break through in their market and sell, then we're falling down and not helping them. So that's all the intestinal fortitude to think big, creatively, and try new things.
I love that. So important. Now, you mentioned cookies earlier, and we have to talk a little bit, with a focus on context, cookie deprecation. And I'm wondering, from your opinion, what does this upcoming change, what does that mean for brands and publishers and ad tech in terms of collaborating?
Yeah, it's really important. We all are facing this future, although I come from the tech industry and I kind of doubt Facebook and Google are going to just go, oh, well, there's no more cookies, so I'm not going to sell ads to brands anymore. Believe me, I know those people. I live with those people for my entire career. They're not going to just let that go. So, but I still have to be ready in case it does go. And to me, that's where that first party data and creating experiences that people are willing to opt into, that they're willing to exchange value with you as a brand. Yes, I will give you my email address. You can talk to me and own my data, as long as you give me something of value in exchange. And so we have to be really, really creative about what those valuable nuggets are that people are willing to exchange their email address for. And so we will continue to show up in interesting places. Our competitors are loud and they're smart, and we know we've got to be a step ahead. We can't out-shout them with a media megaphone and be the only thing that happens and basically just have insurance industry yelling at all of you all day, every day. So therefore, we don't want to do that. We want to create some of these interesting new experiences, personification of Jake where he's in the real world, the All-Star game as an example, and that we're showing up and doing things differently and having a value exchange with a potential customer.
I think that's great. And just from a context standpoint too, like, it's so important to have that alignment and continue that relevancy, just as you were saying. Now, in speaking of relevancy, because I know we only have a couple minutes left, but maybe we can keep talking. But I do want to, continue to just, with the South by Southwest theme here, ask you a little fun question as we're wrapping up. Although no one's here, maybe we can keep talking. Let's just keep going. Keep going. We'll keep going. Right. All right, great. So tell us a little bit about, I know we talked a little bit about social. How are you thinking about CTV as part of your strategy and still continuing to go back to context?
Social is really important. Okay, so when I walked into my new team, being new-ish, I'm wondering if it's not quite been 1 year there, so I feel like I can still say I'm new. So I'm gonna say I'm new. And the team was really leaning into linear television. And I was surprised because in tech, we 100% pulled out, like went to zero, not just decreased linear television. We said, we are not paying a dime for linear television anymore. Now, it's a different category and insurance, it's really important and it needs to be part of the mix, but it was really heavied up. And so to me, I'm coming in with that. I wasn't doing any of it. And so I think we can take down and have a better mix, to your point about social and digital. And that's when we decided, what can we do on TikTok without paying for it? How can we take some money out of linear television and bring it down into digital and social and start having a bigger connection and a better relevant conversation with our potential targets around either simple insights, we call them, where, you know, we can target with zip codes, and if it's snowing in that part of the world, how do you winterize your home? You know, for example. And by the way, I moved from the Bay Area to Bloomington, Illinois, central Illinois, just this last September. I've just done my first winter there, and I'm not kidding. I did not know that I needed to keep my garage warm or a pipe would burst, because a pipe burst when it froze. I had no idea. Thank God my State Farm agent, I swear to God, I'm not just saying this. I was in Florida, found out it was raining inside my garage. She went there, turned off my water, and had it fixed before we got back from our vacation. Side note. Thank you, Abby Spockman.
Like a good neighbor.
She's a very good neighbor. But my point is, we're trying to, be relevant and move from linear to digital and make these meaningful conversations. And I don't know why. Oh, simple insights. And so winterizing your home would have been good for me to know, to heat up those pipes so that it didn't freeze and burst.
Welcome to the Midwest.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Oh, great. I think, with that, I think if we can let the audience ask some questions, that'd be great.
Thank you so much. Very insightful, and I'm a proud State Farm customer myself. House, car, car. But I work at a youth sports platform, and as you start thinking about ways to reach new consumers, and it was really interesting when you mentioned that your 10-year-old and your 7-year-old have an identity, they don't understand what they from State Farm is. Talk to me a little bit about how you look to onboard new partners to try to test and reach out to new audiences in order to maintain that preference and also have that State Farm identity and grow with that audience.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of testing with new platforms. Overtime Elite is one. It's the high school age sports players, and they're now, my gosh, signing and contracts, and we're a big partner with them. So my point is of that, live sports and sports is known with us. So we're not going to necessarily go off in some other random direction. Maybe we'll test and learn in random places that make sense. But we're like, well, let's lean into sports. And now we see this new opportunity with younger people. And why don't we test and learn with them? So we've partnered with Overtime Elite, and we are expanding that base. And it's just brand new. We launched it fairly recently, and we're going to try to understand how we can take advantage. And the point is not to veer too far off of what we're known for, where we have success, and where we already have advertising content in sports, as an example. So it's not odd that we're showing up there. And so we're kind of thinking about new players and new partners in those ways that are similarly attached to something we've already are known for.
Are you thinking about any other passion points? Because obviously sports is such a huge passion point, but
gaming is for us. I already mentioned NBA 2K, but stay tuned. We are going to revolutionize how we think about gaming. And it will be a surprise because it's coming from an insurance company, not a gaming company. So stay tuned there. But we're going to continue to push the boundaries where we already have some kind of presence, but man, we're going to do something different every single time. I've said to partners, to like our media agency and some of our bigger, larger partners, I do not ever want to just do what everybody else is doing. I want to know what your next product role is, and I want to partner with you to do something creative that way. And so again, where you already see me, but seeing me now do something completely new and different, that's the intestinal fortitude that my team is like, all right, man, we're doing it. So it's great.
Cliffhanger for next year, right? Speaking of next year, though, Alyson, what are we going to be talking about next year?
I think that this gaming stuff and innovation, metaverse, of course, we're already thinking about that. You know, I'm really look to the tech industry to help kind of build the sort of breadcrumbs for all of us that we're going to want to follow. And I think that metaverse is another one, which is kind of tied to gaming too. That escaping from my current real life and entertainment in a way that isn't just what I'm used to. The woman before me two before me was from Vegas, MGM Hotel. And she's like, my competition isn't necessarily the Wynn hotel next door. It's I'm trying to get your money in an entertainment fashion. And my competitors are any other type of entertainment that might take your money. So my point of saying that is that's how we're thinking about, you know, where to show up, what to do. It's not just Geico and Progressive. It's how are we showing up in ways and being in places that our people are wanting to be.
Love it. Relevant, right? All right. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it very much.